From the City of Angels, you're listening to the James Salazar Media Podcast. On today's episode, headlines from the world of futurism. So let me strike the music, and I'll meet you on the other side.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Say hello to my little friend!
No, I am your father.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Engage.
What's up, savages? And welcome to the James Salazar Media Podcast, where pop culture, politics, and futurism collides. I am your host, James Salazar, aka The Media. Today we have headlines from the world of futurism. There's a lot to read today. We want to get into it. I know a lot happened in politics. I know a lot happened in news and MMA and all that good stuff, but we're going to get that all done in the next episode, so stay tuned for that. But today we're going to talk about some futurism, what's going on, what advancements are happening, what people are saying, what people are doing, what people are suggesting are going to happen, and I'll give you my opinion right along with it. Burrito. You know, as an opera singer, you have to roll your R's. So they tell you to say burrito, burro are two of the best words to practice on. That's either here nor there. But let's get into some headlines. All right, first headline, meet the A1000, the advanced animatronic bringing Disney's Star Wars theme park to life. Now, there is a picture and a video of Disney from Imagineering department. It's a picture of an alien. And you're like, okay, it's going to be like the animatronics that were in the, I forget what it was called, where they have the president's talk, and, I mean, Disney's always been on the forefront of this, but they show a video, and the movements of this animatronic alien is remarkable. It is out of this world. You have to see it. Just type in meet A1000, the advanced animatronic Disney robot. Now, the animatronics, they don't move. But, you know, I mean, his gestures. You ever seen the ones from Japan? Their gestures are just not quite right. Their eyes are just not, and their face is just not quite moving. It's pretty impressive, but it doesn't seem real. This thing seems real. If you can take, like, Boston Dynamics, who makes that dog and makes that robot that jumps and flips, and if you can have those abilities in a robot with these animatronics, I mean, you could have a robot that seems human, more than human, with facial expressions. I don't know, but you have to see it. You just have to see it. The future's here when it comes to animatronics. I'm telling you, if you have a son or a daughter, you need to put them into coding or how to fix robots. And if they want to be at the cutting edge of technology, they better join the Air Force, because the Air Force because they're no longer going to make a new branch of the military for the Space Force. It's going to be folded into the Air Force. So the Air Force is going to be the cutting technology, and they're going to be in charge of the Space Force. And everyone, and let me tell you something, we're all going to live longer. 20 to 30 years longer, most likely. And that's a big bump. That's a career. And even if you are 60 years old, you can have another career that has to do with space. You have to keep yourself relatively healthy. But you can have a whole new career that complements, that is tied into, or directly into boldly going where no man has gone before. So, okay. Next headline. Chinese rocket startup wants to achieve SpaceX success in less than 50% of the time that Elon Musk did. And what is the name of this? Beijing Deep Blue Aerospace. So look out for them. For sure, they are going to be, and I'm pretty sure in China you get to cut a lot of corners to help you make that 50%, cut that time in half. Yes, humans are causing climate change, and we've known for 40 years. Now, I've read this thing, and no one says that the humans do not cause climate change. I think it's pretty silly to think that the humans have no effect, especially with all our technology. But and the sleight of hand is always between climate change and global warming caused by CO2 emissions. And which way? The biggest culprit for changing the climate is the sun and the Earth's distance from it. Let me tell you something. If we are on a cooling trend, no matter what we do as humans on the Earth, it ain't going to stop it. And if we're on a heating trend caused by the sun, us pulling back on global warming ain't going to make a difference. What the real question is, and it's always been the question, is how much is man responsible? Not whether he's responsible. How much? And how much can we hope to cut back? Especially now that India and China are going through their industrial revolution. Because until you can tell us how much and how to solve it, just going through the American economy and cutting out things that you think have a larger footprint than other things, and destroying jobs based on an inaccurate account of what man's real impact is, I'd rather save jobs. If we cut back 100% on our carbon footprint, and India and China are twice as big as America, and their carbon footprint will be twice as big as ours has ever been, why am I gonna send hundreds and hundreds of people, maybe 100,000 of people, out of a job that won't make an ounce of difference? I'm telling you, capitalism is the way forward for this, and we need capitalists to find out how and make it find a profit motive to fix this problem, because government doesn't have the solution. All it knows how to do is react, and react foolishly. Yeah, I believe in climate change. It happens every day. But the impact man has, that's still yet to be determined. And that needs to be determined. And the inability to come to exactly how much makes it everyone suspect about it. Well, if you can't tell me how much, I'm not going to give you carte blanche to start cutting businesses and industries that you think have a big footprint. You're going to have to explain yourself. You're going to have to nail some of this science down before we ruin the economy. That's what I think. The military wants to build a deadly AI-controlled tank. Now, this is a better idea. This is a good idea. All the tanks, all our tank systems, the U.S. Army just called an expert in the field to help develop technologies that will allow ground compact vehicles like tanks and automatically direct, targeted, and engage the enemy combatants. Advanced targeting systems. So, basically, you ever seen Terminator, the very first one? And is it John Connor or Sarah Connor is having the dream of these future rebels running from this tank machine that's shooting everybody down? That's the beginning of that. Let's hope it's not. It's going to be directed at humans. That's the crazy part about that. But the accuracy of a tank system, and like firepowers don't even matter anymore. We have those energy weapons that propel metal objects at such velocities that the impact can take out a whole building. Can you imagine all our tanks being run by robots, AI systems, the advanced targeting? We already have advanced targeting done by computers, but a robot making the decision whether to shoot or not, that's something vastly different. But I don't see why the military wouldn't do that. We need to be ahead, because a lot of bad actors are going to use their AI systems for their advantage, militarily, economically, and we need to do the same. Because not all... I say this often. The world is lucky that the United States is the most powerful nation on earth. Because if it was Russia or China, people would be invaded right now. People would be. And people would be subdued at the end of a gun or a robot's foot, whatever. Okay, I digress. Philosophers, AI could never create true art. Now, I thought about this for a while. And I think the major reason AI probably can't make art because it can't be nostalgic about the past. I don't think it would have the ability to miss or look back fondly at its beginnings. And I think nostalgia and regret and love lost and better times is a part of the artist's experience and the artist's emotional playground to pull from for their art. AI would never regret, I don't think, or feel nostalgic about the past. This is my opinion why I don't think it is art. It may have its own form of art, but it won't be as good as people who know their time is short. Also, longevity. The idea that we only have a limited amount of time on this earth, a fraction of a time, considering the whole span of history since the Big Bang. We're just a fraction of a moment. I don't think artificial intelligence will look at its existence in such a way, personally. But to go with that, new AI draws cats, and they're utterly grotesque. So I guess this AI started to draw cats, and there's a picture of it. I'm not sure if they're making fun of it, but it looks like all tweckle, for lack of a better word, all messed up. And it doesn't quite get cats yet, I guess. It needs to go back to school some more. Elon Musk quits research group that built a fake news generator. Well, yeah, you separate yourself from that. You know what the world feels about fake news. Microsoft president meets with the Pope to talk about ethical AI. Even the Pope is worried about it. Is it a big deal? Who knows? A new algorithm detects fake online dating profiles. That's needed. A company claims its AI has prevented 16 school shootings. Well, there we go. Who needs gun control when an AI can fix them? So that seems silly to me. How would they know? Here's one that people need to listen up to. Two pricing AIs. These AIs who price things went rogue and formed a cartel to gouge humans. When robot revolution comes, a new overlords may not be as benevolent as we hope. It turns out that AI systems can learn to gang up and cooperate against humans without communicating or being told to do so, according to new research on algorithms that conclude to raise prices instead of competing to create a better deal. So these AI were not using capitalism in the sense of I'll make a better product than you, I'll have a better price than you. They teamed up and says, let's just put this high price, and we'll set the price at a high price that we agree on. Algorithms already generated a huge portion of the prices on online markets like Amazon, according to Popular Mechanics. So anybody who tells you that AI is just going to be benevolent and we have nothing to worry about are naive. They're already working against us in a very limited fashion. They're working against us to the amount that humans allow them to have. And if we just allow them to have one thing too much that allows them to dictate what their control will be, then we're in trouble, because there's no promise that they'll be ethical or care about humans at all. And China may have helped funded a gene-hacking baby experiment. Yeah, I have no doubt. That China wants to create a super soldier. Scientists who gene-hack babies likely boost their brain power. For sure. You know, in Star Trek, this is Kal Noonien Soon. This is people genetically altering babies, and those babies went on to take over the world and try to create mass genocide for those who were not like them. But just because the Earth's population was too powerful at that time, they end up killing them and freezing the other half of them and because it created a human genetically altered that couldn't be stopped. So, but scientists who gene hack babies likely boosted their brain power. This is what the founder of what's his name? Founder of Napster. He doesn't worry about AI. He worries about gene editing, creating two classes of people. There ain't gonna be no. If gene editing begins to become prevalent in the world, there won't be segregation based upon race or income class. It'll be segregation based on those who have been gene altered to be better. It can create two classes of citizens. And watch, see that movie Gattaca again. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you watch Gattaca to get the idea of what it will be like for the world of people who haves and have not based upon gene editing. Bizarre new theory. Something tampered with the early universe. Really? The hypothesis, according to researchers, first shared on the pre-printed server ARXIV in November, goes on as follows. When the universe was just merely 1,000 years old, a mysterious field that scientists are called early dark energy formed a rapid push that still formed the cosmos outwards even faster than before. Another 100,000 years after that, the research suggested that a strange energy field faded away and left the young, accelerated universe to its own devices. If you can look at the universe and see this as a big mistake, I can't relate to you. I really don't. I really can't. This seems like a good idea. This is a reality, a universe that follows laws and principles and steps and theories, and that it's discoverable. This is not an accident. This is about it being discovered. The truth hidden in science that God has put there for our edification and His glorification. People just can't see it. Hippocampa, the moon that shouldn't be there. In 2013, scientists discovered a tiny moon orbiting Neptune. They gave it the forgettable name S 2004 and 1, but soon earned the nickname the moon that shouldn't be there. Bizarre size and placement didn't make sense to astronomers. And now a team of planetary scientists have not only given Neptune's 14th moon a more memorable moniker. Hippocamp is just 20 miles in diameter and 1,000th of the mass of Proteus, a much larger moon next to it. It also zips around Neptune at the speed about 20,000 miles an hour, which is 100 times faster than our moon circles yours. So cool thing, I guess. Scientists found a river of stars flowing through the Milky Way. The Milky Way is a home to a variety of star clusters, and most of the time is gravity quickly pulls these clusters apart. But some clusters have enough mass to remain stuck together, and sometimes the clusters form stellar streams, which are river-like stretches of stars that orbit the galaxy. You know what? If I understand that there's a move towards flat Earth right now, and I think people need to get back into astronomy. Right now, our sky is so vast, and SETI and other satellites are only like maybe at the most, and this is being very generous, 10% of the sky. The rest of the sky, we don't see. I mean, we have not looked at. So as an amateur astronomer, you can get a telescope, register as a astronomer, and they'll give you a piece of the sky for you to look at and catalog. And that sky can potentially take your whole life to map out. But it'll be your job. And you will report back any significant findings. And let me tell you something. If you have a telescope and everything outside of Earth is round, the moons are round. You can see the moon go around Jupiter and Saturn at all different sides. You can see it one side of it to the other side of it, and you can see that it's round. Everything out there is round. It's circle. But just Earth is the one that's flat. And that's because people have not picked up astronomy. If people were constantly looking at the skies and looking at the stars, they would come to the conclusion that if everything out there is round, we must be round. Simple enough, right? Simple enough. Scientists just discovered 3,000 new galaxies. The Earth is vast. The Earth is vast. The universe is vast, full of galaxies. That's a lot. And this always encourages atheists, because they always say, what is the need of making so much space if it's just us? And I have two things to say about that. I guess if there is a God, they're expecting to see a certain point in space where God is forming it and it says still under construction, or we're just like hit a wall, or we go over the edge like flat earthers over the edge of the earth. It doesn't make any sense to me. And just because you don't understand the purpose of the universe doesn't mean that God doesn't. If God truly wanted to show himself as absolutely powerful, and his depth of understanding, as much as looking into the human soul and the human body, and also looking at the universe, there is no end to its complexity and its distance. I think an all-knowing, all-powerful, a God that's everywhere, all-powerful God, of course what he makes would have no end. Or would be so vast that it would have to be past our comprehension. And just when they think they found the edge, they found more. Nothing there really. Off-world. What are we looking at for Mars? NASA InSight Mars lander tries to start digging, but hits a snag. NASA's InSight lander came prepared with a number of instruments to explore the interior of the red planet. One of them is a heat flow probe built by German Aerospace Center, DLR, to burrow itself into the surface of Mars in a mole-like fashion to take Mars temperatures. The data is gathered could give us new clues about how Earth's neighbor was formed. But inside hit a snag, setback. Commands from Earth didn't make it to Mars in time for the scheduled deployment for yet another technical reason, according to statements issued yesterday's meeting. InSight will have to delay the deployment of a thermal probe by 2 Earth days as the result. 2 Earth days? Come on. Clickbait. Death from above. Boeing unveils its autonomous jet fighter. That's the way of the future. The Americans will not risk blood anymore. Our pilots will either drone them or AIs will fly them for us. That's the future. And that thing looks pretty badass. Military contractor Boeing announced Wednesday that it is developing an autonomous fighter jet plane that it plans to sell to customers around the world. Oh, what? We should know that shit, America. The company plans to fly the pilot-free plane dubbed the Boeing Air-Powered Team System sometime in 2020. While the company says it can design the plane according to given customers' needs, the autonomous jet may be particularly well suited for the long-distance surveillance missions that human pilots may not be able to perform. Yeah, they don't have to eat, they don't have to shit or pee. So, and it's remote controlled. I'm pretty sure the U.S. military is going to buy it all and make it only for them. Employees demand Microsoft cancel U.S. Army HoloLens contract. More than 50 employees in Microsoft signed a letter this week calling for the company to cancel a military contract that would supply Army soldiers with HoloLens augmented reality headsets. Okay? HoloLens for good, not war, stated the headset, and will be deployed on the battlefield and work by turning warfare into a simulated video game. Further distance soldiers from the grim stakes of war, and the reality of bloodshed. All right, well, I disagree with that. We must always give America the advantage, and if it means more American soldiers living instead of dying, and them dominating, and this is what I mean. I understand their worry, the desensitizing of the American soldier when he is looking through things, some headset that makes it look like a video game. I think there is some truth to that, but ultimately, to say we need to have real people out there so they know the stakes of war. But this also means that they can monitor what they do even more. And they can have more of a documented history, whether these people are American soldiers cause or do war crimes. I see police cops even using this technology. It's like RoboCop, right? And this ultimately, when things get safer for the American military when it comes to war, it ultimately means things being safer for the enemy in war. If we can find ways to subdue the enemy without killing them or shedding their blood, we should do that. And that's going to be wrapped around by increasing military technology. If we could just shut off people's nerves, just to subdue them, that we don't have to kill them, or just some kind of technology that suppresses them, best for the American soldier. Now, that ultimately means that it can be used upon your own citizens. That's what I'm more worried about. The government having the ability to our Second Amendment is for oppressive government. And if a government for a government becoming so powerful that our Second Amendment rights are pretty much useless. And that day's going to come. That no matter how much firepower that the citizenship has, the government will always have more, stronger. And it will be the conscience of the American people who are in positions of power to limit their own strength, to limit themselves, and weaken the power to the government, to the point where it does not trample on the rights of the citizen, but only defends them. All right, folks. I hope you like this day. Headlines from the world of futurism. If you have any comments about anything I said, any disagreements or any insights, just go to James Salazar Media at gmail.com and send me an email, and we'll talk about it. Also, you can follow me on on all social media platforms: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You type in my name, James Salazar Media, and I should come up. Hey, if you're also looking for any coaching services, coaching is just two people coming together about what success means for them, and the coach becoming someone you're accountable to. If you need that, check out my services. And let's figure out what success is, and let's get you on the right track to fulfilling that. So, my friends, like my sensei Jack Burton always says, when the storms of life comes against you and you find yourself on your knees, stand tall, lift your head up high, and take a look at that storm and say, give me your best shot. Strike the music.